Howdy, friends and floor heads. We were lamenting the fact that it has been almost a month or just over a month since we've had a chance to play. I'm going to apologize in advance for my camera about, I don't know, 2 minutes before we went live. For some reason, my equipment didn't recognize my good cam, so you got my crappy laptop cam. So if you ever wonder what I look like under my chin, now you know. So congrats to you. But we are super excited to be back here. And boy, did we leave it on a bit of a cliffhanger. But for those of you that have not watched episode 1 or haven't watched it recently, of course, it's up on YouTube. But let's talk about what the hell happened. And I think the story starts with Aunt Sarah. Aunt Sarah, unfortunately, she has not been able to really take care of herself as the way she used to. So she reached out to her niece, Siobhan, and said, would you be able to, move in and help me out? Turns out Siobhan loves free places to live. So she is more than happy to help out. And she talked 3 of her friends, her friends that she knows from around, and also friends that she likes to play cards with, to come help her move. So that is when Ashanti, Chip, and Vaco came over and helped move some boxes in exchange for a wonderful dinner made by Aunt Sarah, as well as some cards that night. And as that was being played, I believe it was you, Ashanti, that was looking outside the front window. And what did you see?
I saw a man drop a kid's arm
Without the kid attached, right?
without the kid attached.
So that obviously shook everybody. Is that somebody, the person who lives across the street, who they found out was named Mr. Corbett, was carrying some bundles into the house, and Ashanti swears that one of the bundles fell out and unrolled, and it was a child's arm. So Vaco and Ashanti, or actually Ashanti and Chip, says, you know what, we're going to go check this out. So after a
Mhm.
couple hours passed, they snuck over across the street, almost taking out his mailbox, and snuck successfully behind the house. And Chip, what did you find behind the house?
We found a beautiful greenhouse that had all sorts of plants that shouldn't have been growing
In
and
November.
in November, and it was locked as if trying to keep something in or out that you don't normally find in a greenhouse.
Yeah, and you were able to kind of look in and you saw that there's a bunch of greenery and stuff in there, but it was really difficult to tell. And there was a huge padlock that prevented you from going in. Lights turned on, and both Siobhan and Vaco noticed that the two of you weren't in the clear yet. So scrambling to try to make sure the two of you don't get caught trespassing and sneaking around this poor old man's house. Quick plan. Siobhan grabs one of her paintings. Vaco follows, and they go up and they knock on Mr. Corbett's door. Siobhan introduces herself as somebody new to the neighborhood, living with Aunt Sarah. And I want to thank you for the beautiful vegetables that he had brought by earlier that day. And Mr. Corbett's slightly confused by all of this, takes the painting at 11 o'clock at night. And Vaco starts asking Mr. Corbett some questions. And Mr. Corbett makes it pretty clear that he is not interested in continuing this conversation this evening. And then what happened, Vaco?
I saw some really interesting looking furniture.
And we ended the episode with you barging past Mr. Corbett into the main room of his home, and we'll start there. So Corbett falls back, Vaco, and he is absolutely stunned. He's shocked, and he looks at you, and he's not sure what's happening right now, and he looks at Siobhan like, what's going on? He goes, sir, we can talk tomorrow.
I'm acting like I'm totally like enthralled by the sofa or table or whatever, and looking at like themes and stuff like this, while actually looking at other stuff that is in the direction of the theme.
Let's do our first roll. How about a little spot hidden action? We can't have a Call of Cthulhu session without spot hidden.
Well, let's see. Let's see if I remember how this works. Haha. Haha.
There you go. That is a regular difficulty, regular success. So, Veko, as you're looking around at the furniture and kind of taking in this area, you can see he has kind of his study desk in the corner. And the thing that stands out to you the most is there's a journal there. It's a thin journal. It's bound in leather and it's wrapped with a string around it to keep it closed. Everything else looks somewhat uninteresting. I will say, it's safe to say Mr. Corbett does well for himself. It appears he's not only got a very nice home in a nice suburb of Boston, but the furniture, ironically enough, is really nice furniture. And the art on the wall, the framing, everything is quite unique. And he goes, "Sir, it is late. It is late.
I turn my head towards the desk and go, what is that? And go and look at the desk and accidentally like knock it a little bit so that to see if the journal would fall down on the ground or stuff that was piled on it would fall on the ground accidentally, and then I could be so sorry and try to lift it.
I think Mr. Corbett needs a spot hidden. So he immediately comes to the desk. He goes, and he kind of like physically tries to separate you from the desk, kind of get between. He goes, sir, I insist. And he reaches down to pick up the journal, and he takes it and he slides open his desk drawer and he stuffs it in the desk drawer and he goes, and he turns to you, Siobhan, and he goes, this is irregular, and if you don't leave right now, I will call the police. You are not invited in my home.
I am so sorry. He's one of them socialists. They don't really have an understanding of property ownership.
Well, I can assure you the police do, and I'm going to call them.
I'm very much aware. Veko.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just love Finnish design furniture, which I thought this was.
Well, if I ever have a yard sale, I'll tell you. But right now, I would like you to leave.
Yes, of course. I'm so sorry. I get this way around beautiful furniture.
So he's now kind of like physically corralling you, and it sounds like you're kind of for the first time acknowledging he physically exists in the room with you, and he's kind of corralling you outside. Let's cut back to outside as this commotion is happening. I think Ashanti and Chip, you figure out very quickly what your two friends are doing. I'd like to know what the two of you are doing.
I am going to hardtail across the street back to the house as fast as I can. Head back like track star.
As Ashanti starts to do that, I kind of grab his arm and pull him off to the side, and we kind of walk down. I kind of get him to gingerly walk down the street away from it, away from Mr. Corbett's house. And then once we get to the next area, we cross the street and walk back as if we were taking a little stroll.
Very smart.
Just to kind of say, let's make this a little bit less conspicuous. We deserve to be around here.
See, that's why you're here. You're the brains.
So as both Siobhan and Veko finally cross the threshold, leaving Mr. Corbett's home, he's there, and he goes, yeah, I do thank you for the painting. That was nice. And he closes the door.
Okay.
Shall we go back, my dear?
Yeah, let's okay. Stop walking.
So let's cut to the four of you back in Aunt Sarah's front room about 11:30, coming on midnight.
Well, I can tell you he has a murder room in the basement, and he's keeping a journal of all his kills.
What? Okay, went from dismembered kids' limbs to a murder basement. Did you see like bodies or anything?
No. You saw bodies.
Okay, true. And this journal, what did you see in the journal?
I saw he was very, very protective of it.
Ah. So in this country, we cannot go off assumptions. We have to have evidence. I don't know how socialists do there, but democracies here, we have to have evidence of wrongdoing.
He
I
is
would have
probably
thought
hiding.
you seeing him carrying around a child's arm would be evidence of wrongdoing.
Yes, that is true. But we need more evidence than that.
You know
We're
he's
in-
hiding something, Ashanti.
Yeah.
That basement windows aren't normally closed like that, and
Yes.
who has a padlock on their greenhouse? Anything like that?
Anyone good at picking
Exactly.
locks?
No.
No.
Anyone got a crowbar?
Yes. In the car.
So my idea is we either wait for him to go to sleep and then try to get into his basement, or we wait until he leaves tomorrow and then try to get into his basement.
That is assuming somewhat that he will leave. What? I look at a calendar. What day is it tomorrow? Would it be like a work day, or is it?
My thoughts are, as far as like moving in, playing, having time to play poker. You guys and gals planned on staying up all night anyway. I'm thinking it's like a Friday. So let's have tomorrow be a Saturday,
Okay.
and it makes things more complicated, which is great.
Yes.
So we may have to, if he's not going to work tomorrow because tomorrow's Saturday. So we may have to go in tonight. Wait till we know he's sound asleep, and then quietly go in.
Yeah, quietly with a crowbar doesn't sound like a good combination.
So are we going to go to the greenhouse, or are we going to go into the basement?
I think
Because evidence
why would we
of
go
the
to the
other-
greenhouse? Do you think he has a murder greenhouse?
Well, that had the lock on there.
We might be able to get into the greenhouse easier than trying to get into his basement.
It's also behind the house.
And I'm imagining, Ashanti, you're super focused on this house just based off of what started all of this, right?
Okay.
It's a house that was invisible to you, as you were moving boxes and stuff. And now suddenly it's the center of your universe. And so as this discussion between the four of you is happening, you do notice that the lights on the main floor go out, maybe 15, 20 minutes after everybody left. And you do, for the first time, see lights coming through the basement window.
Ooh. Like the curtains are open, or just
No.
like that? Okay,
No, you
that
can
is
just
closed.
tell that
Okay.
lights have been turned on in the basement,
Okay.
but the curtains are still covering it as best as you can tell.
11:30 at night, rummaging through the basement. And plus, he took the limbs into the house, so the house might be more of an important place to go than the greenhouse. Or we could split up and check both.
That worked so well this previous time.
So,
another idea I have is you have this sport you people play, national pastime or something, ball of bases.
Baseball.
Oh yeah, and well, like if he hasn't seen you and Chip, so you could like be playing it in the front yard or something and hit a ball into his window or something like that, his basement window. You're all great at this, aren't you?
That's a great plan, except you don't usually play baseball at 11:30 at night.
That sounds.
I was thinking tomorrow.
Okay.
Tomorrow. If we
I didn't know how
him
close
today.
you were with the customs.
I'm not very good at baseball.
Siobhan,
Or anything.
at the top of the stairs is Aunt Sarah. Is it? Are you all still playing cards?
We're just wrapping up. Sorry to wake you.
Siobhan, is it going to be this loud every night?
No, this is sort of a special case. Things have gotten the drink has gotten the best of some of us.
Well, I do like it quiet, but I also like Chip, so Chip is welcome anytime. She goes back to her room.
Okay, so I guess we got to speak lower.
Yes.
Okay, so he's in the basement now. We can go in now, rough him up, see what he's hiding, or we can wait till tomorrow, see if he leaves, have a lookout, and see what he's hiding.
If your plan is to rough him up, could we do that tomorrow so that sort of like two people bursting into this man's house doesn't happen on the same night, and my face is somewhat attached to someone who will be living here?
Oh, true. I was thinking more of roughing him up, with masks on or something.
Well, I'm kind
Right,
of
right,
Before you went criminal
I
real
think I
fast.
know.
Should we just call the police?
He's probably paying the police.
Can we anonymously contact the police and tell them this, or because they're not going to believe us unless we're.
Aunt Sarah's got Aunt Sarah has a phone. She's got one of those, standard pedestal phones that were, on the front area. There's just, and this is just for the young people watching. This is a time when there wasn't your phone. There was just the phone.
Mm. You say this from personal experience, I assume.
Numbers on it.
Yes, I when I grew up, there was the phone was on the wall and it had the cord.
Okay.
Well, we can try.
Well,
and
you
make
can call the
some
police,
sort of
but I don't think they'll do anything.
I mean, it might be enough to spook him if someone comes around asking questions, if they're at all persuaded.
Yeah.
And then maybe we can just watch the house. Somebody kind of head over there in the bushes, see if anything happens after that. If he tries to clean something up or get rid of something.
Right.
Okay, I'm okay with that.
Maybe one of us should hide in the greenhouse.
So what are we doing?
Siobhan's going to make a call.
Okay. So you make the call. Newton PD. Hello?
Hi, I am terribly sorry. I was walking around Gibbs' address of the street we're on, and
West Murder Street is the name of the street.
Okay. I happened to notice a individual bringing something strange out of his car. I may be fully mistaken, but it seemed almost to be a child's arm.
I'm sorry, did you say a child's arm?
I did say a child's arm. I wasn't sure at first, but looking at it more, I couldn't describe it any other way.
Oh, do you have an address?
List his address. Yeah.
Okay, all right, stay right there. We'll send a car. And click. So let's
Was
say,
that convincing at all as an American accent? I'm sorry. It's really not my strong suit, but
it was very good. So two things in play here. One, very affluent neighborhood, and obviously the Newton police. Newton is not the largest town at this point in time, so I would imagine making sure that things are safe in this part of Newton is pretty important. So it only takes about 5-10 minutes, and you do see a car pull up, and you see two policemen step out. They both have flashlights, and they're very cautiously, no guns or anything, walking up, but they're doing it checking like in the bushes and along the sides, and they start working their way up, and they get to the front porch. Basement light is still on. One of them walks up to the front door. You can see him knocking on the door. Basement light comes off. First floor lights start to come on. It's kind of hard to tell, but you can see the back of the two cops and you see the door open. Maybe a 15, 20-second conversation seems to be happening, and then the two cops go in and the door closes.
Chip is like, while this is all happening, he's just sitting there. Look down. Look at the step. and just like shaking his head that they didn't notice that.
So who wants to go play the rowdy drunk on the step next to the blood pool? Someone is there like writhing, like passed out with a bottle of booze on the floor next to the blood pool. They might notice it.
We could just hang a sign up.
I've had too many run-ins, small run-ins with the law to do
Dude,
that.
I'm a unionist.
So you four let me know when I can have 10 minutes pass. If there's anything you want to happen in the next 10 minutes.
I just want to watch and see what happens with the police. So I'm good with the 10 minutes passing.
So glued to the front porch, you then see the door open slowly. And two men exit. Policemen. You figure the same two that went in. Those is the first time you've seen the front of them. You've only seen the back of them at this point. And they're both have grocery bags. And you see them turn and shake hands with a Mr. Corbett. Mr. Corbett, gives a signal, and you see them walking back to the car, and one of them reaches in and pulls out an apple and takes a bite of the apple, and you see them talking to each other. They get down to the car and open up the back, and they put the bags into the car, and they're hopping back into the patrol car.
Did they actually see any apple trees in the back when you were there? Just out of curiosity.
And then the car leaves.
Okay, so the police aren't doing anything. They didn't find
The police
anything.
is on the take.
We can't assume they're on the take. They probably didn't just search the whole house.
While we were watching, did the basement lights ever come on?
They have not come back on since. So right now, just the first floor lights are on.
Okay, so they didn't check the basement. What do you guys think?
If he's gonna be spooked, he's gonna go do something now. Chip's willing to go sit in the bushes nearby to see with an eye on the greenhouse, so that if he goes back there to do anything in there, he could see it.
Yeah, that sounds good. It's better if I don't move anywhere because I'm suspicious enough already.
I guess it's me and Chip again.
You can take Siobhan too. She's not that suspicious.
He has seen me.
Yeah, but you're not suspicious. I'm just suspicious because I was running around inside.
You're a weird socialist.
Yes.
All right, so tell me the plan.
Head back over there. I guess take a little walk down the street. Once we're out of view, I'm assuming like high bushes in between houses or something like that to kind of.
Oh yeah.
And come back up on his side, right along that bush line, and kind of get far enough back where you can get a good view if he comes out to the greenhouse. But stick in that bush line.
So go ahead.
I was gonna say I'm gonna go to my car and grab my revolver.
Okay. So between the two of you, who has the worst stealth? Okay. So we'll have Ashante do this, but believe it or not, it's not, because I really don't think that Mr. Corbett would have any chance, based on your approach, any chance to really see this approach. I'm a little bit worried about the neighbors though. So LaShawn, let's just do a regular difficulty. Actually, let's do it with an advantage.
Okay.
Because it's dark.
How will we deal with advantage?
So I believe, let's see here. Let's go to players, Ashanti Jones. All
If
right.
you right click on the skill, I think it brings up the little.
Okay, I see.
Perfect.
So just bonus dice would be like +1.
Correct. Yeah,
Okay.
one bonus die. That's the term. It's not advantage. That's D&D.
Okay, I got a. Doesn't show me what I got.
So let's see.
There we
Here,
go.
here we go. All right, stealth check. Look at you. Ooh, very nice. You got a 30%. You got a regular difficulty. You're all set. So
Okay.
you two are in the bushes. Nobody within the neighborhood saw you or anything, and you're just staking out and watching the house, right?
Mhm.
The lights on the main floor go out, so now the house is dark. Vako and Siobhan, what are we doing?
I'm wondering where the car went. The car from which boot certain kidbits were extracted.
That's still in the drive at the very top of the driveway.
Okay.
I think Siobhan has like turned the lights off in the downstairs where we are, just so like it doesn't look as weird that we have this big like open bay window, but has arranged like candles to be lit as sort of like a early warning in case someone starts walking around, like light candles in the room so that these guys then see like flame lights in the window.
Look at the gal with the plan. I like it. Both Ashanti and Chip are watching for candles.
I'm not good at crime, but I can light candles.
This is where we are. In the bushes, in the bay window, waiting to see if we need to light some candles or not.
You
all
said
the lights are off in the house.
First 4 lights are out on the.
All lights. Yeah,
all lights are out.
Yeah,
Okay.
so it's a 3-story home with including the basement, and there appears to be no lights on. We're coming on, slowly approaching 1 o'clock in the morning now.
All right, Chip, what you want to do?
If he was doing something, there'd be lights on. He'd be out here. We may just have to wait till tomorrow or something. Unless we're going in there now. Unless you can break that lock.
Will we be able to break it with a crowbar?
Yeah, if there was a crowbar or tire iron or something like that, you definitely could break that padlock.
All right. You want to go for it, Chip?
Sure.
You're the brains. All
Yeah.
right.
Let's do it.
2 of you sneak back there. You get to the greenhouse. It's dark in there. You can still see the condensation on the inside of the greenhouse. It would be apparently much warmer inside based off of what you see there. And like I mentioned, the padlock is a little bit above eye level. And it appears to be the only thing preventing the door from opening. So you're able to turn the knob and pull on it, but kind of that latch padlock is what's keeping it there. And taking the thin side of the tire iron, you kind of slide it up there. Doesn't take much. Just a pop, and the lock pops off and falls to the ground.
Let's wait a second to see if any lights go on in the house.
You're all set. No lights.
All right. Slowly, cautiously open the door.
Who's
I
opening
do
the
have.
door?
I am with my revolver out because this guy is chopping up kids. So I don't know what might be in here.
I grabbed pick the lock up too. with my shirt just in case. Put it in my pocket.
So you open up the door, Ashanti, and immediately the warmth of the air inside kind of cuts the cold that you've been standing out in for a little while now here in November in Northeast Boston.
Mhm.
Really hard to see what's inside, though. Your nose fills with smells, and you can smell soil. You can smell all kinds of just wonderful fragrances, flowery, just organic smell. All really just perfumatic, for lack of a better word.
Okay. Chip, you have the flashlight, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
still got
So
it.
you can go forward so we can see.
Yeah, so Chip will same thing that he did before, kind of hide it mostly in his coat, and take a look around a little bit, facing away from the house and towards the ground. So try not to catch any reflections. And
You don't want to do a greenhouse light show?
Not yet.
There's a rave in the greenhouse. So, Chip, you kind of get ahead of Ashante, and are we keeping the door open, or are we letting it close behind us?
I am shutting the door behind us.
As I mentioned when you first saw this is a pretty large greenhouse, easily 15 by 20, 25, 30 feet, right? Huge greenhouse. And Chip, as you go in and you shine down, you see all along the outer edges of the greenhouse all kinds of different pots, potted plants. Some pots are empty. There's piles of soil. You got all kinds of just beautiful plants. Some of them are flowers. Some of them appear to be, not weeds, but more shrubbery type things, maybe starter trees. And then there's tables, and they're in lines and columns. All these different tables, and on these tables, some as tall as 10 feet above your head. You just see these gorgeous plants. And by no means are you a botanist. But you've been, in people's yards before. You've been out, out in the forest and stuff like that. And there's a lot of plants that look familiar. Some maybe you thought you saw in books, some you've never seen before. But you almost wonder, going in here during the day, that it must be just stunning and just incredibly beautiful. I'm having you guys right at the entrance with the door closed behind you, and that's what you can see. So you've got rows and columns of tables that come up to about chest high, that then have potted plants and things on top of those tables, and then lining the edges all the way around as far as you can see. There's also empty pots, some potted plants, piles of dirt. There's some trowels and stuff.
Chip just turns to Ashanti and is like, "This ain't right. this shouldn't be growing. This ain't right. Something's going on. You shouldn't be able to be growing all this stuff. These don't even. I don't think I've ever even seen these plants." He points to something that looks like it was either from down south or wherever.
I mean, there's some of these plants, Chip, look exotic, like jungle type exotic, like vibrant oranges and yellows and purples, and some of them are vined plants. Some of them are these beautiful, huge flowers that are all completely in bloom and open.
And so, is he using some type of special, fertilizer or plant food around here?
I'm going to grab one of the pots, or something that seems to be growing, and just, I guess, or at least I'll grab one on our way out, assuming we don't die in here.
So can you give me an idea of like what you're looking for? You're looking for a plant you're familiar with, a plant that's just seeding, a tall, big plant. What are we trying to grab here?
Just something small, like a small clay pot or something like that, something off the ground that if in daylight, or you can look at more and try to figure out what's actually going on in there.
So there's a small pot, kind of down the row a little bit to your left. It's got a beautiful blooming purple flower in it, in the soil that kind of catches your eye, partially because it's fully in bloom. It's within arm's reach, and one you've never seen before.
I think Aunt Sarah would like it. Yeah, we'll grab that.
And Ashanti, you're just staying by the door.
Yes.
So
Keep it a lookout.
Chip, you pick up the pot, and you're kind of, with your flashlight still kind of just looking at this thing. And it's a purple flower, kind of like an orchid type open flower. But it's got these beautiful like yellows that come off the center of it. Beautiful stems that are blooming out from the center of the flower itself. And you get closer to the door where Ashanti is, and Ashanti is about to open up the door. I need a power roll from both of you.
Power?
Yep, POW. Should be up top.
Just a regular roll.
Just a regular power roll.
I do not see that. I am sorry.
It should be up where your attributes are. So where your strength, your dex, and everything are.
Oh, okay. Yes, I'm looking at scales. I was like, huh?
Did that roll? I don't see anything.
All right, so we've got a 89 from Ashanti.
No, I don't think it rolled for you, Chip.
I did not see it, Chip. So try it again, real quick. There it is.
There we go.
And an 88 for Chip.
That'll be fine.
So here I'm going to kind of set the scene. Boy, that's dramatic with the sun coming off across my head, isn't it? Your mind opens. You're kind of there, Chip, and you're fumbling a little bit, right? Because you've got the pot and you've got the flashlight, and what I'm imagining is, would you hand the pot or the flashlight to Ashanti? Because you can't kind of do both, right?
I'll hand him the flashlight.
So you hand him the flashlight, and it all happens at once. And I think you smell it first. Both Ashanti and Chip, your nostrils fill with a smell that is slightly aromatic, like a sunflower smell, but it's a little bit more acidic than that. And it fills your nostrils, and as that's happening and you're blinking, you're looking and you can see something is emanated from the center of this flower. So this is coming from the flower. And Ashanti, as the flashlight kind of comes across it, you can see kind of a cloud emanating from this flower. It takes over. Your eyes get a little blurry. Oh my, wow, that pot is heavy. Wow, that's a heavy pot. And Chip, you just instinctively set the pot down and you just grab the side of the wall of the greenhouse, because you feel drunk. Ashanti, you that, like, this is not that big of a flashlight. I'm just going to set this down because this is a really heavy flashlight. And you set the flashlight down, and you can see each other, and you can tell that each other of you are affected by this. But are the plants melting? I think the plants are melting. And you're looking around, and it looks like paint. Like if somebody had painted what you're surrounded by, the paint just starts dripping. And you look over to your right, where your hand is, Chip, where you're holding the wall, and it squishes like it's a sand sculpture. You just feel your hand squishing, and you pull it back out, and it just crumbles like sand in your hand. Let's do a quick sand roll. So it's a little stability check for the two of you.
Salvador Dali presents botany.
Very nice, Ashanti.
Oh, that's good.
Right. Okay. So for Ashanti, go ahead and drop 2 stability for me. So drop 2 from your sand.
Okay.
And I need a D8 from Chip. You should be able to hit just on the die roller at the bottom.
Yeah, rolling high.
Yeah, that's
what's
good.
in
Let's
this
go ahead and
game.
drop 7 sand. So where does that put your sand, Ashanti, and yours, Chip?
Mine is at 49.
Okay.
I'm at 33.
So before I continue on, I'm stopping at the point when the two of you are trying to piece together what the hell is happening. Ashanti, you're able to make some sense of it. I'd like to get an understanding why. So where is Ashanti putting this in his brain to make him not like kind of loses?
So, being as someone that's been around town, I've tripped. I've gone on trips before.
Yeah.
My character has. I'm not me personally, but my character has. So he's thinking it's some type of psychedelic trip that he's going on. So he's like just trying to. He knows it's not real, so he's just trying to shake himself out of it. He knows he sees things melting. He like the everything feels heavy. Everything is just like it's like yeah. But he's like but he knows it's not real because he's been on a trip before.
Yeah. Yeah. He's the psychedelics. You've messed around a little bit with the psychedelics, which is very
Mhm.
possible in the early mid 20s. How does that contrast to what Chip is going through?
Are you asking me a chip?
Chip.
I don't think Chip has any idea what's going on. He has probably made himself lightheaded and almost pass out in chemistry class back in university, but nothing like this. Um, you know, the drinking too much makes the room spin, not your hand melt. So he is just, you know, trying to run and like probably it feels in his head like he's just walking down into the ground, like just lower and lower. And if Ashanti can see it, he's probably like crawling on the ground.
So let's cut right to that moment where Chip falls to the ground, and Ashanti and Chip, you see each other, right? Even though your surroundings have completely changed, they melt to black, though you're still standing. But then the sky starts to brighten, and it's a weird purple, like a lavender purple sky. And it maybe a sun's rising. That's what's causing this, but it's a color that you actually have seen before. It was in the center of that flower, and it's spread all over the sky. And as Chip, you're down there, you realize that you're standing on a rock, like a stone, and Ashanti's standing on it with you, but it's kind of a platform. You realize that it's not that big. It maybe is only about 15 feet in circumference, or in diameter. This thing, and it's floating. Okay, all right, it's floating in the sky. That's cool. Um, there seems to be a lot of them, and you have never been here before. You've never seen anything like this. There's no wind. There's no sound. You're on a floating rock disc, and there's other floating rocks as well.
Oh wow.
What is going on, Ashanti? What is the rock? Is there a real rock underneath? Like,
You can feel it, right? And it feels cold, like a rock, like a stone slab would.
And we
it-
both see this.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
you're where are we? How do we get so high? And I don't know
Why
what's going on.
why are we having the same trip? Do you see rocks as well?
Yeah, they're all floating around.
And I just start looking like very slowly, and it's like I say, I know that we're tripping, but I'm like, why are we having the same? Why are we seeing the same thing?
Who has the highest spot hidden?
That would probably be, I have 25.
I think I got 55.
All right. Chip, so you're still kind of on your hands and knees a little bit, kind of taking this all in. I will say for both of you, your heads are clearing a little bit. So the fuzziness, the blurriness, and the way that when the light starts to come around, you feel like your senses are returning and you have less of a trippy drunk feel. Doesn't change the surroundings at all, right? And in its own way makes it even more weird and trippy. And Chip, as you're looking around trying to take in these floating rocks that you're on, you and Ashanti are on one. Something out of the corner of your eye catches, and you turn, and it's like you know when like shadows go across, and it happens quickly, and you know a shadow ran past the light, but by the time you turn your head and look, it's gone. But you know it happened, and it happens to your left a little bit. And you kind of it causes you to jerk your neck to the right, and you're like, I know I saw movement, and Ashanti, you see Chip do it again. He turns to the left, and he seems to be like looking left and right, and then he looks left again, and he looks up a little bit, and he stops. And Ashanti, you were watching him jerk his head back and forth left and right, but when he stops, you then follow and look to see exactly what he sees. And on a rock that may be 30 yards away, maybe about 20 yards higher than you can't make out exactly what it is, but it's got to be 10 foot tall. And the closest your mind can come to is that might be the biggest goddamn spider you've ever seen.
Oh.
Let's take a 10-minute break. We'll be back on the other side. right, welcome back. I was not able to fix my cam during the 10 minutes, so you're back with my garbage cam. We are going to come back from commercial, though, not in the greenhouse, or maybe even Ashanti and Chip aren't in the greenhouse either. Let's go back to Siobhan with her matches ready at any moment.
Mhm.
Vaco is there. It was roughly about 1 a.m., 1:15 when you saw Ashanti and Chip head back. It's easily 2:30. They've been
This
gone
isn't
now
good.
for at least an hour and a half.
Told you, murder basement.
Yeah.
I think we should go over there and check at least that we don't see any corpses in the yard.
That's kind of what I'm thinking. It's late enough.
Yeah,
Okay.
let's go.
We saw them go around the back, so that's where we'll go to start. Okay.
So walk me through the plan.
We're gonna walk over and go behind behind the house.
Are we being sneaky? Are we going like through another person's yard, then going through the bushes? What are we doing?
It's 2:30. No one's gonna see anything.
Okay. All right. Who's got the worst stealth between the two of you?
Mine's 40.
That's pretty good.
It's probably going to be me then. I don't, like I say, I'm not a crime lady. 20.
Okay. So let's have you roll it, but you're going to again get the bonus die.
Nice.
Regular difficulty with a success with a 7. So yeah, you have no trouble doing that, and to the point where I wonder if Vaco is just like, "Ooh, I didn't was not anticipating her to be a ninja." Like you thought she was going to follow your footsteps, and you quickly realize that you're following hers. And you start heading towards the back, and all the discussion of the greenhouse would probably draw your attention there, and it's probably the biggest feature in the back as well. Neither of you have been back here, but what they saw has been explained to you, and you can see that there is no longer a lock on the door, and
I'll
it
go
is
open it then.
dark inside. Open the door.
Yeah, open the door and whisper, Chip.
Vaco, you walk in there.
Ashanti.
You open the door.
I don't walk in there. I open the door and whisper inside, Chip, Ashanti, are you in there?
So everything I described for them, the warm air, the floral smells, just fill you as well, Vaco. It's not light out. There is no flashlight on or anything like that. But you do see a lot of what I described right in front of you. You can tell that there's plants in here. You can kind of get a rough idea that there's things. I think what stands out the most is Chip and Ashanti laying on the floor. Right at your foot. Let's cut back to Ashanti and Chip. This shadow form, like I said, it stands at least 10, 12 foot tall with an abdomen. And right now it's just a form. It's not even quite solid, with an abdomen that's got to be at least the size of like a Yaris, right? Like a small compact car. And though it's standing about 10 foot tall, the legs, you would imagine, if they extended, could easily go 20 feet out, right? So and you see it start to slowly move and navigate down across these gaps between these stone pedestals. And you see it slowly working its way to you.
Do I have my revolver?
You sure do.
I point my revolver at it, like I pull it out, and I pull the hammer back. I say, "Stay back." Wait, why am I saying that?
Chip?
How far in between these stone pedestals? What's the space?
It varies. So there's some that are definitely within jumping distance. So let's say 4 or 5 feet. Others that are more like 10, 12 feet, which are going to really need a really good roll to be able to make.
Well, I'm good at rolling high, so I think it'll be fine. Chip's gonna try to stand up and just see how shaky he is.
You feel sober as a church mouse.
Gonna stand up, look to see, kind of like back away to the edge of the pedestal, away from it, and see if there's anything nearby to kind of hop onto.
So quickly taking in your surroundings, you realize there's no up, there's no down, right? It's not like you're floating above a planet or above a landscape. It's blue sky below, to your left and above, and just these floating pedestal discs. And yeah, with a little bit of help and coordination, you probably could start jumping to a series of these that it would get you farther from this thing, if that's what we want to try to do.
At this point, I'm just gonna kind of put my hand on the back of Ashanti and let him be the bodyguard.
So Ashanti, you've got your gun out. You've got it pointed at this thing. It's slowly and meticulously not jumping. It's just walking, right? It's big enough that it has no trouble reaching through these gaps. Let's go ahead and let's do a little initiative action. So I think it's a dex roll for everybody.
Okay. Dex
By
roll.
everybody, you probably mean Chip and Ashanti.
Just Chip and Ashanti, right? We're going to do the same. Okay, so Ashanti's got a success, followed by Chip, and then this thing. Let's start with you, Ashanti. You've got dibs.
All right. So this thing is, how close is it? Can I tell?
Right now, it is maybe 15, 20 yards away, so it's not far away, and it could reach you now. It could reach you very quickly.
All right. I'm gonna take a shot at it then.
All right.
All right. I'm gonna use. Where is my handgun?
So if you go to combat,
I found it. Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
It's a nice roll. Let's see what kind of job we can do dodging this.
It's too big to dodge.
All right, hold on a
Too
second.
large to fail.
All right, so you have no trouble. Let's go ahead and what is the damage on your gun?
1d8.
All right, let's just do a D8. There you go. Just hit the roll damage button. A whopping 1. Letting it know exactly what needs to be done.
So can I use luck for this or
No, not for
No,
combat.
okay.
You can't
No,
lose. You
okay.
can't use luck for combat, unfortunately. All right.
I
am
can't
also-
cheat fate or anything?
I do need sand rolls from both of you though. After seeing the spider thing, I always forget. So let's do a quick sand for both of you, please.
Okay.
Shanti is just keeping his stuff
Yeah.
together, man. As opposed to Chip. See, here's the thing, Chip. You needed to get as high as Ashanti did in college. Like you thought, you're like, no, I don't really want to try mushrooms. Why? Bad choice. Let's go ahead and do. I need a 1d8.
I want the third floor wall slogan to be "Do drugs."
All right, so let's drop by 5. Where's that putting you, Chip?
28, I think.
You're fine. Everything's fine. Ashanti goes first, then Chip, then this thing.
All right, I shot at it and I look at Chip. Is like, can you make it across there? Like to the next if there's a floating disc, see if we can get across there and get away from it, like farther away from it.
Did the shot seem to do anything to it? Like, did it react or anything?
So it hit, and you could tell it physically hit the thing, but it didn't appear, it's not causing it to change its course. And by no means am I discouraging you from running away, but I will tell you that based off of the length of this thing's legs and the fact that it's just walking down to you versus the two of you needing to jump, Super Mario from each one of these, it would be tough if you're trying to outrun this thing. That's going to be difficult. But that also might be just instinctively what either Chip or Ashanti or both of you do, right?
Yeah.
But I want you to imagine this spider thing is just extending its legs down and just walking down this like they're steps.
You're still on that. So I don't think Chip would leave Ashanti to be eaten by the spider alone. We'll get eaten together. And did he still somehow hold on to his crowbar?
Yeah.
Like we'll try and
we'll have a tire iron in your hand. How's that sound?
Yeah. If it gets its hand in there, if he can reach it, he's gonna try and swing at it.
So as its first leg is coming down to reach the platform that you're on, you're going to take a swing at it, and you take a swing at it with this crowbar. Let's go ahead and do a brawl roll. Fighting brawl. There you go.
Hey.
There we go.
Very nice. Let's do a 1d6 damage. All right. So you swing this tire iron as this leg comes down, and the tire iron hits it, but it doesn't stop. It kind of goes through it, almost like you're slicing it off. And I think it's then that you realize that what you mistook for a thing seems to be lots of things. Smaller versions of what you're looking at right now, because all they do is crawl back together and reconnect. And that's when you're looking as it's slow motion Matrix style, you're watching this thing go by, and you could see these little spiders on your tire iron that are just kind of being flown off, these black shadowy spider type things. It is going to take a swing at the thing that shot him. So the next arm comes down for you, Ashanti.
Okay. So I have to dodge this, right?
Oh, I don't know. Let's find out. All right. He got a 43, a regular success. Let's see a dodge from you. That's a miss. All right. I don't believe you have any armor, do you?
No, I do not.
Okay. How many hit points do you have?
I have 12.
All right. So you're down to 1. So let's go ahead and go down to 11. To take 11 off, you're down to 1. This claw comes down, and what you're anticipating to be just Ashanti being speared in the chest by this thing, it goes into his chest, but it's more spreads across his chest as you see these spiders just spreading as his thing gets further. And for you, Ashanti, it starts as pins, then it starts as burns, and your hands are just trying to rip these things off, and it's stinging your chest, it's stinging your hands, and it's taking your breath away. So it's almost like you're already in your lungs, already at your lungs, and squeezing your lungs, and it's just you're buckling down to the knee. And Chip, you're watching him as he falls back, cutting back to the greenhouse. The two of them are laying still until you see Ashanti start to convulse. And you just see him laying there. Both of their eyes are open, but Ashanti his body is shaking, and there's like some sort of, it's like spit, drool, foam, or something coming out of his mouth, and you just see him convulsing. Vaco.
Help me.
So I've seen this before. It's clearly some form of attack. Well, I'm gonna go closer to see and put something between his teeth so he doesn't bite off his tongue.
So there's gardening stakes, right? The stakes that they use to mark things. There's a gardening stakes right there. You grab that Vaco and you put it between his teeth. I need a POW roll from Ashante, please.
Now, can I change this?
You can use luck for this. How much luck do you have left?
I have 18 luck.
All right. So if you want to make this roll, you can go ahead and spend 4 luck.
Okay.
Or no, you don't need to spend 4. You only need to spend 3 to get to
3?
55. You just need a regular success here.
All right. So I'm going to spend 3 luck to make it 55.
The stake goes into the piece of wood is being put into your mouth by Vaco. Chip, I'm going to do this from your perspective. You see Ashante fall to his knees, fall backwards as these spiders just start to cover him. You see him just gasping for breath as these spiders go into his mouth and start crawling into his nose, into his ears. And for you, they completely cover him. So now it's not Ashante, it's the shape of Ashante until it's not. And they just scatter. And Ashante wakes up with a stick in his mouth. You have initiative, Chip.
Wait, say that again.
You have initiative.
He's just gonna flail at the. It didn't really seem to do anything, right? Make any impact.
I mean, you hit it, and it definitely had an impact. It has not seemed to change what it's doing, right? So you're not seeing it squeal or make any noises. There's obviously no blood or anything. So, I mean, it's not like you're hitting a ghost of some sort, right? And it's just passing through with no effect. Like when you swung that tire iron, it broke the leg in half, right? You cut through the leg and it just within seconds it reconnected when you realized that this wasn't a thing, it was things.
Yeah. We're alone now. We're going into slight panic mode and swinging again.
Okay, let's do it.
See if we can.
Yeah, that's a crit fail. You're Jesse. You are just knocking it out of the park, man.
I know, it was almost an 18.
So Chip swings and misses. And I mean, you've got it. I mean, it has to be sweat, right? Like your hands are clammy and sweaty, and the tire iron flies out of your arm, out of your hand, and you just see it spinning like a boomerang that's not going to return as it just sails through this purple sky.
Yeah, he kind of falls onto the ground, like onto his knees, looking over the edge at it, and before remembering that thing is there and just is on his back. Ready to die, I guess.
Yeah, so let's see if that happens. All right, we got a regular success from this thing. I need a dodge from you.
All right, this is half dex.
You should have a dot under combat. You should have dodge. You should be able to just click it.
All right.
Both regular success, and you rolled the 18 to his 41. The arm of this thing starts coming down, going for the same place it went for you, Chip. You see it coming. For whatever reason, you're like, wait a second, right? Like I know how the story ends, and it's with Ashante dying, right? It's Ashante just being eaten by spiders. And at the last minute, you're able to roll away as this thing spikes down, and you see it hitting the stone. and you just see these spiders spreading on the stone to your left, kind of between your, like in your armpit, between your hip and your elbow. I need a power roll.
Come on. That's
Ashanti, you spit out the stick, and you're there. And Vago, I mean, it feels like that's like, wow, I've never seen it like stop a convulsing. It's supposed to just like prevent the convulsing, right? And he spits out the stick, and he stops shaking, and then you see the blood staining the inside of his chest, his shirt, and it starts spreading inside. And Ashanti, that's when you realize that burning now is not a burning. It's wet, and you feel the blood before any pain. You feel the blood like someone dumped a bucket of water on your chest.
Oh wow. I just is it. I touch my chest and I see the blood on my hands.
I mean,
And
just touching it, automatically the blood is soaked through the shirt, right? So there's blood on your hand now.
Do I feel any pain? Like, does it stop me from moving?
You're having a hard time breathing again. So it's like, and then the pain, just like a drill bit through your chest.
I just say, I in between breaths, we have to go. And I just point at Chip, grab him. And I just like try to crawl up onto my feet and try to get out the.
You're not going to be able to get up. So you try to get up, and you immediately fall back down to your chest. Siobhan and Vaco.
I'll lift. I can't carry both of them. But...
Well, in a couple minutes, you're only going to need to carry one of them.
But Ashanti's the one that's
because one of them is bleeding out in front of you right now.
I'm gonna try to use. I know a little bit of aid, so I'm gonna check if I can do anything before I start running him to the car.
Is between you and Siobhan, who is more medically inclined?
I have 21.
For first aid, I got 30.
First aid 30 here too. Medicine 21.
Yeah, I think first aid is what we can do to at least stabilize Ashanti. So, Siobhan, are you going to jump in here or let Vaco do it?
I was going to say, like, kind of hearing all the stuff happen, like Siobhan was kind of keeping an eye out outside. But like, I want to say that as Vaco like begins doing first aid, sees Chip unconscious, like just grabs a watering can and dunks it over Chip.
Okay, all right. That'll, you know what? I'll give you a power roll for that. Let's get a power roll real quick, Chip.
All right, come on, you can do it.
Remember, roll low. That's good.
All right, we're gonna use luck.
Okay, so I'm gonna need 28 luck from you.
Yeah, so I got 12 left.
Okay.
Yeah.
You look over to your left, Chip, and you can see the spiders that were hitting the stone start to spread into your armpit, up your arm, over your chest, and then you feel water. You feel water hit you. It forces you to close your eyes, and when you reopen them, you see Siobhan with a bucket standing over you. You look immediately to your right, and you see the blood stain. Like Ashanti's entire chest now is soaked. So his shirt is soaked in blood.
I'm dying, man.
He just like that water air gasp of as he, wakes up and takes a second to try and, just glad that Ashanti is still here and seemingly he's back to normal as he's just trying to take.
You thought he was dead, right? Yeah.
I didn't know what the hell happened.
Yeah. Spider food.
He just disappeared.
I need somebody to do something about Ashanti.
Yeah, I'm first aid.
Okay,
Thingy.
let's do it. And with Siobhan there, you can get a bonus die.
Okay, so 1 bonus die. Roll,
How-
and it's a regular difficulty.
This is just to stabilize him, to keep him at 1 hit point.
Did that actually roll?
I don't see it yet.
No, it did not.
Why did it not roll? Let's try again. It's failed twice now.
All right. Just roll. So what is your first aid? You said it was
30.
30. Okay, so just roll it 2d10, and we'll take the better of the two is for the 10s, and the worst of the two is the 1s, and that'll be the same as a bonus die.
Well, if I roll a D100 and then a D10, it should work.
Sure, we can do that too.
Yep, so a D100 and an extra die.
All right, so we're gonna go with the 9 versus the 49.
Yes.
So I'm thinking you might use it, like, if I would assume in November you'd have a jacket or something, Vaco. I think that's what you use, and you put pressure down on him. You haven't stopped the bleeding, but you've stopped him from dying. The one thing that you do know for sure is that taking the pressure off could put you right back to the same position again. Chip, you're awake. Siobhan, you're right there. Ashanti, you're barely conscious.
Siobhan, we should call an ambulance.
Right. You okay if I leave you all here?
We'll figure out some way to get him back.
Okay.
So you're heading back to Aunt Sarah's?
Yep.
Okay. You head straight back to Aunt Sarah's. Now we've just got our 3 gentlemen. Ashanti on the ground. Chip, you're really not too much worse for wear, all things considered.
Are there any planks, or like is the table made of like 2x4s or anything like that we can
Sure.
grab?
Yeah. In fact, let's have some extra 2x4 lumber there. Sure.
You want to try to carry him, throw him on like a stretcher?
I don't think carrying is the problem. The problem is seeing that he doesn't bleed to death when we try to move him.
So one thing that could happen, to give you kind of a sense of what's happening, is I do think, Chip, you could underarm drag, right? So you could drag and lift Ashanti under the arms, and Vaco, you could with one hand and a hand on his back as he's being dragged, you could keep that pressure on. So you guys could get back to Aunt Sarah's if that's what you're trying to do. It would take a little bit of time. We're forgetting about stealth at this point. But that is a way that you could get Ashanti across the street if that's what you're trying to do.
That's what I think we're trying to do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's do that.
Help me.
You're probably bigger and stronger than me. So I could hold the wound, I think, and you can drag him.
I think that would be a smarter choice. But the switch could be problematic. But
The camera fades to black, and it comes back to Siobhan, Chip, and Vaco in a waiting room.
Mhm.
And a doctor comes out, takes his mask off. He says he's going to make it. What the hell happened to him? I've never seen a wound like that before. Was he stabbed?
All eyes go to Chip.
It was a spider.
A spider?
Yeah.
Really?
Spiders.
So, being the oldest there, he turns to Vaco and goes, "Are they high?"
not
were
that
you-
I know of.
Where were you when this happened? And he's completely disregarding what you just said, Chip. He goes,
It's fair.
No,
Were you
I
there
wasn't
when the accident happened, or did somebody
No,
do
I
this to
wasn't in
him?
the same room. I just no. They had just been gone for a while, and I went to look for them, and well, Chip was passed out, and then and Ashanti was having some sort of seizure. So I did standard things and stopped him from biting his tongue, and then he woke up and started bleeding.
Well, if you're the one that put pressure on his chest, you're the one that saved his life. I will. I'll send a nurse out when somebody can see your friend. Does he have family?
I
And he
looked
just
to
kind of
Siobhan.
walks away.
Yeah. We'll try and get a hold of him.
Ashanti, talk to me about your family.
I have a wife who is currently with child. I don't have any family in this area in Boston. I have a few acquaintances. I work for Chip and his father. My family is from New Haven, Connecticut. At one of the off of Dixwell Avenue. So my family in Boston, just me and my wife. That's it. She's like 8 months pregnant, so she's about to have the baby like really, really soon.
We cut to the outside of a hospital room. It has a chart on it. We see Siobhan, Vaco, and Chip sitting in chairs across from the door. The door opens. This beautiful woman, 8 months pregnant, but just gorgeous woman. Almost as tall as Ashanti and just stunning. She walks out. She gives the three of you a look that freezes you. And she closes the door and walks down the hallway. Ashanti, how did the conversation go with your wife in the hospital bed?
She yells at me, like, but it's not like very loud. It's like a very, very stern talking to at a raised voice. She asks like how this happened, why did it happen, what are you doing with these folks that you're getting hurt? You know the baby's on the way, and I'm trying to calm her down because the baby's on the way soon. I don't want anything to go wrong with that, or like to induce labor now. Um, but she's just yelling at me. She's constantly asking me questions, and I just told her I had an accident, and she said, "Had an accident doing what? What these folks have you doing?" And just like, are you underground fighting again? I'm just like, no, I'm not. It's just, and it's like, well, what happened? I was like, I just keep telling her I have an accident because I know I can't tell her that I broke into someone's greenhouse. That
Smell the flower.
smelled the flower and started tripping and almost died to a bunch of spiders that were coalesced to a bigger spider. So I know that story isn't going to. So she's like, and she just tells me when you get well, we're gonna have a serious talk about this.
So earlier, you've got the three of you that don't have bandages around your chest. Have not gotten much sleep, and part of the reason you were up so late is talking to the cops. It is obvious that the doctor, when he finished talking to you, also called the cops. 2 officers did show up. Obviously, none of you are under arrest, so I'm dying to hear the story that kept the 4 of you out of jail. Who wants to tell it?
I
You
would.
weren't there. It ain't you. Do I have a volunteer?
I feel like Siobhan probably.
You want to put this on me?
I'm
Okay.
about to voluntold Siobhan.
I mean, you saw what Chip did. He just told it straight, and people were looking at him crazy. And
whatever the story is, it worked. What was it?
Yeah, okay, so I think kind of pulling like elements of like Chip and like multiple perforations. Siobhan basically kind of tells this story of like she like declares as an artist and all that stuff. And like it's like talks about kind of going into this almost like making these sort of stained glass, like kind of really taking inspiration, like kind of putting together some sort of project, and was asked if Ashante would help move. She wasn't in the room, but apparently some sort of seizure effect and dropping this this series of like elaborate glass structures, and that's what happened, I guess.
So the nurse comes by. The three of you are really, you haven't really even seen Ashanti yet. You've just been getting updates. And the nurse comes by and just says, family only for now. If you come by tomorrow, we might be able to let him see he needs his rest. And she politely asks you to get the hell out of the hospital.
Mm-hmm. I also want to say, like, as every time we've like seen the three of us waiting, until the cops come, Siobhan like hasn't been doing much talking. She's kind of been like almost like sat and like folded into herself, like with this big sketchbook, having gotten the story from Chip, and is like, the fingers started to itch as soon as Chip was kind of talking like through the experience. And I wasn't lying when I said I had a new project.
So it's mid-morning when you guys are leaving the hospital. And this is the next day. This is the next morning. Nobody's had any sleep except for Ashanti. What are we going to do? I know what Ashanti's doing.
Well, I'm gonna ask Chip. Are you sure you didn't stab him?
I can't be sure of anything, I don't think. As I, kind of quietly told you guys, everything was melting around me, and then we were on these discs, and this thing just came at us, and it got Ashanti, and then he was gone. And then I woke up with water on my face. I have no idea what happened. If you didn't see me stab him, I have no idea if I did stab him. Was there anything to stab with that was around?
Well, I didn't really have time to look, did I? But this does sound like kind of like drunk madness, delirium.
I never had a drink or anything like that. Do anything like any tripping like that before. And I've experimented with a lot of different types.
I wonder if there's anything that was around that might have brought that specific hallucination up. Could I do some sort of a history check that's like the kind of, to see if there's anything like the far reaches of like various cultures about like spiders and shadows and plinths and otherwise? No.
Nope.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I can see in your story to the cops that you said Chip saw a spider and got scared and and knocked your sculpture onto a shelf.
Are we headed back to Aunt Sarah's? Is everybody going home, including Siobhan, going back to Aunt Sarah's? What are we doing?
I don't. Is Aunt Sarah gonna want us there? I mean, I think Chip is ready to crash. He looks disheveled. He looks just wild-eyed.
Just to give you a sense, you got both Vaco and Chip are about 45 minutes away from Aunt Sarah's, a 45-minute drive, right? So I'm not sure whose car we took to the hospital, but
I don't have a car, so not mine.
So it wouldn't be ridiculous for everybody to go to their four corners if that's what we wanted to do. But it's also reasonable that everybody went back to Aunt Sarah's the next morning. I'm not sure.
I don't think Veikko is going back to Aunt Sarah's yet because it's Saturday. It's a prime day for going and recruiting people to the union.
Mhm.
But but I do think that going back to Aunt Sarah's in the evening could be a smart choice.
So Veikko, just very quickly, give me a sense of where you live. Is it an apartment? What is it?
It's a small apartment in a very rundown part of town.
Okay. How about
It also kind of doubles as a print shop for pamphlets.
Nice. Chip, where are you headed? Are you headed back with Shaban, or are you going to get drop Shaban off and go back to your wherever you happen to live?
I'll drop Siobhan off, and then I'll bring Veikko back, and the plan will be to grab him later and probably head to the hospital if they'll let us in. Crash for a few hours, and
so I'm going to montage this a little bit and cut past a few things. I think I'm going to start with Siobhan. You get dropped off by Chip. His first thing I would imagine are doing is kind of seeing what's next door, right? There's the car is there. Corbett's car is there. Nothing. It appears nothing happened last night. Just by you walk up, door is unlocked. You go in. Aunt Sarah's made herself some coffee. Looked like she's eating. You have some pleasantries with her. She asks if you were you out late? You come up with something that's reasonable that she accepts. You head up to your room, and you get into your room, and the only thing you worry about right now is sleeping. And as you get on the bed, you look at your bedstand, and there's a broken padlock on your bedstand. We cut to Veikko. Veikko, you get dropped off at your apartment and go up a few flights. There's no elevators. Luckily, the third floor smells a lot better than the first floor of this apartment building. And you can you unlock the door. There's several locks on your door, and you come in, taking off a lot of the clothes, especially the blood-soaked clothes and whatnot. Hungry. You haven't really eaten that much. And you open up your fridge thinking maybe there might be some leftover something that you'd forgotten about. Gotta be great if it wasn't moldy. And there's, I don't know, half a bushel of vegetables, fresh vegetables in your fridge. Chip, where do you live?
He's got an apartment, like a row house kind of outside of, less densely populated, but, just sort of a 2 or 3 story apartment with a garage where he can do some bootlegging, some distilling and brewing.
Do you live by yourself?
Yeah.
So you get there. You go in. You open the door. Take your jacket off. Probably going to get a drink. So imagine you go over to the cabinet, behind the cabinet, pull out some whiskey and pour it. And that's when you notice what's on the table. But I want you to tell me what's on the table.
It's the small pot that he grabbed.
I love it. It's the broken. It's the broken pot, right? So it's the pot, and it's that pot. The flour is gone, but there was a design, a very particular design on this pot, and the dirt is spread all over your kitchen, your little kitchenette table. The clay is broken. It looks like it was broken on your table, right? Because you see the pieces of clay. Let's go to credits. We'll be right back. McBluff in the chat goes, wow, that was a really quick transition. First off, I love playing with people that I can kind of put on the spot, coming up with, like, I told you that it worked with the cops, and you come up with a story that's cool and it kind of fits the narrative. And Ashanti, you handling the conversation with with your wife and making that feel very real and believable, and lining up to her, giving the cold stare to your three friends as she walks out. It's something that I, as a GM, I really enjoy doing, is kind of passing the narrative to players. And I don't know, it just makes the world feel far more real for me, which is great, running the game. And hopefully that then extends to you guys. So hats off to that. And Chip, the pot was freaking perfect. It was better than what I probably would have come up with. So fantastic. So I'm trying to think of where I want to start here. Let's start with you, Klaus, because this is not your first Call of Cthulhu game.
No, it isn't. It's my second.
Compared to the first time you played this game, and we're not talking mechanics or anything, is there one thing that was similar to the last time you played it, and is there something that's different that's standing out?
Well, both times had to do with vegetables and plants. But that was a lot more bootleggy than this one.
Yeah.
And it was more, it kind of involved more that we're going from the town out to a weird location, while this is more, we're in the town, which is a weird location.
All right, so I'd like to know, does Vaco have any quick thoughts and theories with a fridge full of vegetables?
Vaco is being threatened. Vaco does not like being threatened. Vaco has a lot of contacts in the unions, and he's gonna find out everything about this Corbett, and then he's gonna see to it that he doesn't do anything bad to any workers ever again.
All right, the broken pot on the table. Chip, what the hell is going through Chip's mind, especially considering the business Chip's in?
Yeah, he knows that he's caught. They were caught somehow. And after everything that he just went through, he's still trying to like get that through his head. And now this extra thing of how this guy found out who he was, where he lived, got in there, like, all of that stuff. It's like overwhelming.
Yeah.
And just that cold shower scene where you just got your head on the wall, I think is pretty much what Chip is going through.
The dirt of the greenhouse just go like slowly going into the drain. So it's right next door to you, Shaban, so everything's fine. What is she thinking about?
Yeah, absolutely fine. Yeah, like the same sort of thing of like, clearly Corbett knows that there was some involvement. I mean, Siobhan didn't break into anything, but breaking into Aunt Sarah's house makes this somewhat personal.
Yeah.
And there's the moment of like shock that then goes to anger, that then like quickly is just like, well, I'm not going to be able to get any sleep, knowing that this suspected child arm wielder was in the room. So he's just going to go through like this kind of ritual of like falling into hobby until like we can actually do something about this, like something to kind of clear the mind. And by clearing the mind, I mean drawing a terrifying scape of nightmares that Siobhan is hearing from secondhand. So,
LaShawn.
Yes.
Ashanti is at best. Can you sit up for me, man? Your head's being blocked
sorry.
out. Yeah, that's all right. You're too handsome. Ashanti's out of commission, likely weeks, if not month and a half. That was a hell of a chest wound that basically killed you. So I don't have questions for Ashanti, but I do have an offer for LaShawn. which is starting episode 3 with a new character. We can do that. We can weave it in, have you be a friend of any of the 3 of these. I think the fact that the volume has been turned up, things are far more intense. I don't think we have, or it could be somebody who's a friend of Ashanti's, who is like, what the hell? And we've got time, right? So I'd like you to think about that, but it's also not required, right? So what we could also do, I don't want to do a session without you, LaShawn. That's not
Okay.
an option, right? So what we could do is we could cut forward a month and a half to where LaShawn's not 100%, but at least he's up and about. So that's something I want you to think about, LaShawn.
Okay.
The only thing I know is that you are going to be an active player in our next session. So
Okay.
you, the 4 of you, decide how you want that to look and feel.
Okay.
But poor Ashanti is not getting out of bed anytime soon. So let's do quick plugs and shout outs. Start with you, Joe. Any plugs or shout outs?
Yeah. I, in case I haven't plugged it before, I think I have.
Do it every time,
but,
my friend. Come on.
There's some rumblings of a podcast that I do called WTF Anime, maybe doing something in the future. We took a little bit of a break because of there was a COVID, and mental health is a thing that people have to deal with, and conversations have been had. So check that out if you want to hear me yell about anime.
So do me a favor, Joe, as I talk to the other 3 gents, would you type it into the chat for me, so that everybody can see the name of the
Yeah.
of the podcast, including everybody who's watching the recording. Klaus, any shout outs or things that you love or things you want to plug?
Well, I suppose this is a little bit of a weird plug, but I'm going to plug the Outokumpu Mining Museum in Finland. I definitely think you should all come and visit us there. It's a great museum about modern mining in Finland from 1910 forward.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. And it sounds like may have been part of the inspiration for Veka.
Oh yes,
Oh,
definitely. I thought I'd take a subject that I know something about, and so I could enrich the character with it.
Awesome. All right, LaShawn, any shout outs, things you love or things you want to plug?
Shout out to all the floor heads that watch us and keep this going. Shout out to you for having us, and shout out to my wonderful compatriots who almost let me die this session.
All right, I appreciate that, LaShawn. Jesse.
No specific plugs, thank you. Happy holidays, everybody.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
probably won't see
Yep.
everybody again till after the holidays. So we're going to figure out the schedule for episode 3. We've got a long ways to go, a lot of stuff to figure out. If you're watching this live or this same weekend that it's being recorded, we've got icons on Tuesday night. So if you're like superhero RPGs, our 3rd episode of that is going to be Tuesday night. We've got a lot more we got Mothership tomorrow on Sunday, which has become right now, it is the most popular actual plays that we've ever done on the channel. And I'm sure obviously
What?
yeah, it's obviously tied to the fact that $1.5 million Kickstarter that they just had for Mothership. So it's going to be a crazy one tomorrow. Follow Third Floor Wars anywhere, whether it be Twitter, Facebook, or whatever, and you'll keep track of the chart. This was a really enjoyable session. So big thank you to the 4 of you. I love how all 4 of you are just like, let's play, let's do this. And each of you guys have brought the personalities of your characters, and the world feels very real. And that is something that doesn't always happen with Call of Cthulhu. Call of Cthulhu can feel very campy sometimes. It can feel funny, like laughable at sometimes. I love the tone we've set, and I love how just how serious but still having fun that we're doing. So for those of you watching, whether it be live or